Our current edition counts with 23 participants coming from 9 different countries, and the average age is 32 with 6 years of professional experience after university. The placement rate average of the 2 last editions is 90%, and we are really honored to share this information with you. Let's talk briefly about our curriculum. As you know, an MBA means that you will receive 360 degrees on management knowledge. So we will start with general management courses, which are basically strategy, finance, accounting, organization, supply chain. All of these courses you will find, of course, in all MBAs. We then focus particularly with our MBA in international business. We have 4 courses dedicated to international business. We have then the elective courses, which we divided in 2 minor concentrations, as we call them, one in emerging markets and one in advanced finance and risk management, plus other elective courses of different subjects that we update every year in order to add new subjects that may be relevant according to the facts that are new. Then we have 2 important projects in entrepreneurship and innovation. These projects are very interesting because we do them together with the companies. So we put into practice what you have learned, and instead of working with a case study, we are working with a real company that comes to the school and presents a particular project. Finally, we have a very important module in leadership dynamics. This module is the only one that is transversal, so from the beginning to the end of the lectures period. And here you can work with your professional and personal growth. So you will work with what we so-called soft skills. We will work with subjects like time management, how to present yourself, how to work in a group, multicultural dynamics, and so on. It's really an added value that you will take from the MBA for sure. Finally, you have to complete an individual project, which is the final thesis, and you have to choose a topic of your interest together with the MBA director. And of course, you have these 3 months to complete it. In total, you will have to complete 70 credits, ECTS credits, which means that 1 credit is 25 hours of workload. Just to give you an example of some of our elective courses, you find here a list from this year, but as I told you, this is updated from year to year. And what is very interesting is that our courses do not overlap. So eventually, you are requested to complete 20 credits with the electives, but you could do more because you can follow all of them if you want. Of course, it is challenging because it is a lot of work, but you know, you come here for 1 year, a very intense year. It is an investment of time, of money, so why not try to really do the most? We have many international academic alliances with business schools from all over the world, and we organize some exchange programs. We have long exchange programs and short exchange programs. Long are practically 2, one in Florida, in Rollins College, and one in China, in Guangzhou, Lignan College. Long because they are 4 months, so eventually, if you decide to take this option, you will follow some courses here at MIP and some courses in the partner business school. Together, we will put together a curriculum approved also by our director, and you have both experiences, so it's very interesting. Otherwise, we have short exchange programs here in Europe, mainly in France and in Spain. These are some of the possibilities. This is not compulsory, it's something that you can choose. Now let's talk about placement and partner companies. We give the floor to my colleague Barbara Vidotto, who is in charge of the career service, that will better describe you this part. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Victoria. Nice to meet you personally for those here at MIB and virtually for those who are attending online. So we decided to summarize the activities of the career service with these slides, which shows some companies with which we collaborate during the whole year. Basically, the career service is a path that we do together starting from the beginning, which means that once you start to take part to the MBA, we start to know each other well and better, trying to understand your previous experience and willing to know which are your career objectives. So we divide this path into two parts. The first part is concentrating on the individual. So we speak together. We, once again, as I was saying, we meet individually, trying to understand how the school can support you in your career goals. And we do so with individual meetings, but as well through several workshops that we organize here at school, which are focusing on, as I was saying, on the individual. So on how to write an effective resume and cover letter, how to face a job interview, how to face an assessment center. When I speak about job interviews as well, digital interviews that are nowadays very common for companies. And as well, in general, how the recruitment process and the selection process works inside the companies. These workshops are delivered together with HR managers, which are giving a real touch of what is happening in the companies, and as well are simulating interviews together with us. I always like to underline the added value of having the possibility to do these workshops all together with your MBA classmates, because you are able to receive precious feedback from your classmates, not only from us as MBA staff and from the HR managers, but as well from your peers, which is absolutely very important and an added value from our point of view. The activities of the career service, as I was saying, are divided into a first part, which is the individual, how we work individually. And the second part is more focused on the job market, which means starting to accelerate the match between the candidates and the market, so the companies. We do so inviting here at school several companies, which is part of the project named Corporate Conversations. When we invite companies here at school, we ask them to, of course, present the company and the business, but at the same time to bring a specific business case and, of course, to meet our student, which is possible through individual meetings just after finishing the conversation with the company. As you see, few of the names that you can see listed are the companies involved in these corporate conversations or in the projects that Victoria was speaking about before, or in the workshops that we were speaking before on job interviews and assessment centers. Of course, as part of the activities, we also organize some company visits through the idea of inviting here companies, but as well the group of MBA and the group of MIB students going to the premises of these companies and trying to learn more. The idea is always to, of course, understand the business and get in touch with the managers, which are sharing their experiences and their knowledge about the business. And once again, the added value is as well an opportunity to enlarge your network and to exchange information and business cards as well. These are, once again, few of the companies involved. Then, of course, there is the possibility to, as I was saying before, we try to accelerate the match with these companies, and we do so as well, working personally with a very personalized approach with each of you, trying to understand which could be the right business for your skills and for your goals as well. All these activities are, of course, really linked with the leadership dynamics course. Of course, when we speak about soft skills, we are speaking as well about how you can sell yourself on the job market. we will have a real touch of the collaboration that we have with the companies in a few minutes, because at 6 o'clock, more or less, there will be two guests from Edison and Fincantieri, which will be connected online, sharing their experiences and how the recruitment process works inside their companies. Of course,
Barbara, hi Barbara, sorry, it's Carolina speaking. There's a question about the scholarships. Are the companies involved in offering scholarship to talented candidates, and in which way?
Of course, yes, collaboration with companies is as well through the scholarship that are awarded. Particularly this year, we have 3 companies, which are Danieli, Gruppo Era, and BNL, which is part of BNP Paribas Group, which are offering a 50% scholarship to our students. Every year we try to diversify as well the number and the companies and industries involved in this scholarship opportunity. And probably Victoria would say this, but I can already anticipate to you that these 3 scholarships are, the deadline for applying to these 3 scholarships is this week. So you still have more or less 2-3 days to apply for this scholarship, if you have, of course, if you fulfill the requirements that you can find on the website. But as Victoria will be informing you after, there are other scholarships as well available. But yes, just going to the question of Carolina, we do have this collaboration with companies as well through the scholarships. So if there are other questions, as I was saying before, I will of course be here the whole afternoon together with Victoria and with my colleagues. So whenever there is a question, I'm available. I will leave now the floor back to Victoria.
Okay, at the moment, this was the only question. So, okay, I invite everybody to write your question in the chat, or to, unmute your microphone and ask question to my colleague. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Carolina. So let's talk a little bit about our city, Trieste. Trieste is a very nice city in the northeast of Italy, 1 hour far away from Venice. It is not so well known outside Italy, but it is very interesting because it is near the border with other countries. Okay, we had some problems with some microphones. If you're not speaking, please. Okay, now we can go on. So as I was saying, Trieste is near the border with Slovenia and Croatia. It's very near to Austria. So it is definitely a very interesting place to study and to pass 1 year. It is near the sea. It is also surrounded by mountains. It has an Austro-Hungarian history and architecture, as it was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And we have one very important international event, which is the Barcolana, which is a regatta where ships coming worldwide can participate, but from all different dimensions. So from the very professional to the small boats. So it's quite interesting. In October, the city really is full of people that come because of the Barcolana. It is a city that is not so expensive as other cities here in Italy, such as Milan, and the quality of living is very high. So definitely a nice place to be. Talking about the scholarships that we had the question before, let me tell you that the school can offer a wide range of scholarships up to the 50% of the tuition fees. So this is the maximum scholarship that we can offer. And as Barbara said, we had not only the corporate scholarships, which these years are BNL, BNP Paribas Group, Danieli and Era Group, but we have also scholarships for citizenship, scholarships for female candidates, and scholarships by degree and professional background. You can find all this detailed information in our website. So how to apply? If you want to be part of our next edition, which are the following steps that you have to do? First of all, you have to complete the online application form that you can find in our site. It is very simple with your information. You have to attach your CV and one motivational letter. The motivational letter is very important for us. We really want to understand why you want to attend an MBA, what you're looking for. Usually people coming here to attend an MBA, it's because they want to change something. So this is very important for us if you have to clarify in the letter which is your situation. You will receive an immediate feedback to this application. If you are online with our participants profile, you will be asked to submit further documents, which in practice are your degree, certificate, and transcript, 2 reference letters, and your identification, your ID card. Then you will be again contacted for a motivational interview with myself and Barbara as part of career service. You will have to complete as well 2 online tests, which is one logical and one verbal test. And after we have all this documentation together, we present it to our admission board. They decide, and you will have a final official feedback from the school in approximately 7 to 10 days. So if you have been admitted and with which conditions. Usually in the admission letter, you will find also a schedule for the payments. We usually divide it in 3 installments, but let me say that with this difficult situation of the pandemic emergency, we are being quite flexible to really answer to all the requests of our candidates in case they need a couple of more installments or different deadlines. So if that is the case, you can of course write to us and we will try to follow your request. Now, before having the question and answer session, we would like to share with you a video of a graduation from last year, which is a really very special moment for all of us, candidates and staff. And I'm sure that you will enjoy it. So,
I'm sorry, Vicky. Vicky, I'm sorry.
Yes.
There's a question from Karin in chat. She wrote to me privately, asking which is a typical day of an MBA student here at school in Trieste.
Okay, Karin, let me tell you. Of course, it is a very busy day. I must say that the program is really very, very intense. You will start lessons at 9 o'clock in the morning. Usually we have morning sessions from 9 to 11, a little break of 15 minutes. Then we have lessons from 11:15 to 1. Then we have 1 hour for lunch, after which you may have lessons as well in the afternoon until 4 o'clock or until 6. Or otherwise, if you don't have lessons, you really have to do a lot of work. Maybe individual assignments, group assignments, study by yourself for a test. So that is why we say it is really a very intense program. This is during the week. We don't have lectures during Saturdays or Sundays, of course. But I'm sure that you will manage, as every edition does, to have a lot of also nice moments where you don't study, sharing some aperitivos, some visits with your colleagues, some little trips in the weekends. I mean, we also organize some activities, sport activities. We organize a ball during the spring. We organize a Christmas dinner at the end of the year. So you have also many activities to have fun. But it is very intense, I repeat. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We have another question from Armando. Do we need to get the GMAT or it's not necessary?
No, it's not necessary to get the GMAT. If you have the GMAT, you don't have to do our online tests. Otherwise, the tests are the ones that, let's say, replace this GMAT. Is there any other question, maybe?
Okay, I guess we replied to Armando. Okay, there's another question about degree got outside of Europe, and the question is if documents should be translated in English, or if they could be in the original language as Chinese or other language.
Well, definitely it's important for us to understand what we receive as documents. So if it is in Chinese, we would need the translation. If it is in English or Spanish, of course, Italian, no. If it is Croatian, maybe no, because we are also an international staff. So maybe some of our colleagues can help us with the translation. But if it is Chinese or any other language, yes.
Okay, I guess we replied. Thank you.
Okay, we have still time, maybe later, for more questions. Let's look at the video. Okay, thank you, Ornella. As you see, it is a very moving moment, also now when we look back to it, because for our students or for ourselves, staff of MBA, it's really, you know, the conclusion of a hard year of work and a lot of experiences lived together. So finally, the moment of your desired and deserved degree, it's really the perfect conclusion for an intense year of work.
I'm sorry, Vicky, maybe we have time for just another question.
Yes.
Okay, it's about the accreditations. They asked me, what does, the Association of MBA accreditation mean for the students? In concrete, for students, which is the added value of it?
Yes, you know that this is a very good question, because when you search for an MBA, it's really important to look at the accreditations. This means that this International Accreditation Association of MBAs means that it's a guarantee that all the processes, teaching material, the content of the courses, the lecturers, the staff, how the school works is evaluated. But this has a value because it's recognized worldwide. So if you present then your degree with this accreditation of Association of MBAs, which is based in UK, they know what the value means. They know what they look after. So it's really important. In Italy, there are only 3 schools that count with the AMBA accreditation, and MIB is one of them. So really important point.
I guess that worldwide is more or less 2% of the business school, isn't it? Just 2%?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, I see now that one of our companies, Fincantieri, is already present. So I will leave the floor to Barbara, and we can pass to the next session. Of course, we can have more time for questions in the end. Please, Barbara.
So switching again, me and Victoria. So welcome to both to Alex and Gastone, which I can see already online with the webcam. Thank you once again for taking part to our MBA Hybrid Open Day. So I was briefly introducing you to our guests as companies, so Fincantieri Alex and Edison Gastone. But I will leave the floor basically directly to you just for a brief introduction. So if you can just tell us something about yourself and your career path and of course your current role in the company. I think maybe Alex, can you start?
Okay, thanks a lot. Yes, my name is Alex Tonelli. I'm responsible. I am working in Fincantieri since 2015, and I'm the coordinator of the talent acquisition department. So the department that is in charge to recruit talents from young. Sorry.
Okay, so if everybody else is mute.
Okay, okay. So the talent acquisition department is responsible for the recruiting recruitment process in Fincantieri from young talents and also for professionals. We are responsible also for all the employer branding activities, so the relations with the university, business school, and of course all the technical schools here in Italy, and in particular here in Friuli Venezia Giulia. And so we are glad, of course, to be here with the MIB to share some information, some tips to be recruited by Fincantieri.
Thank you, Alex. Gastone.
Thanks, Barbara. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Gastone Grassoterragni, and I work as employer branding and young generation in the HR department of Edison. Professionally, I graduated in philosophy at the Università Statale of Milano, and after that I made 2 masters, one in international human resource management at the Università Cattolica of Milan, and one in digitalization of organization that I did it at Talent Garden. I'm working in Edison since 4 years, and I spend my time working about orienteering, recruiting process, training, and socialization of young people. In Edison, young people are considered people from 16 years old to 32. And we have a graduate program that dures 3 years, where there are moments of training or moment of development. In particular, I spend my time working on with high school, university, business school, and with the pool of young people of my company.
Thank you very much, Gastone. So I was speaking before with our participants to this online about the activities that we do during our MBA, and one of the activities is trying to understand how the recruitment process works in the job market. But we were curious to understand how this recruitment process works in Fincantieri and in Edison. So if you could give us a sort of idea which is the path that a candidate should follow, and which are the let's say added values of your career path inside the company. So please, once again, starting from Alex and then Gastone.
Okay. We are very clear in a very defined recruiting process. You can find it on our website, fincantieri.com, and the section Lavora con noi or Work with Us. It's, we can say, a sort of standard recruiting process, starting from the reading of the CV, the evaluation of the CV, in which we can find, let me say, the basic information about the candidates, so studies, professional path, international experiences, and so on. then a phone interview, a very long, structured phone interview with the candidate, in order to understand, to better understand the recruiting path, the motivation, the interest to the job position, to the vacancy. Then a meeting in person here in Trieste, or in COVID time, a video conference, a video call with the first line manager. In this case, this is a technical interview, so with a focus to evaluate the technical skills of the candidate. Then a second interview, in this case always in person, with the director or the function, in order to evaluate not only the technical skill, the motivation, but also the potential of the candidate. Then we have the final feedback. If the feedback is positive, of course, we start to study a job proposal in terms of gross salary, compensation, and so on, in order to put on board the candidate. So a standard recruiting path with a focus on technical evaluation of the technical skill. We are an engineering company, and so for us, the engineering competencies and skills are very, very important. But at the same time, in order to evaluate the motivation, the soft skills that are in Fincantieri also very, very important, and the potential, because we are a company that is growing, and we need people, we need candidates that can grow, we can say, with the company.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
How does it work in Edison? Which is the recruitment process in Edison?
Okay, as Alex said before, also Edison has the recruiting process on his website, so just check on Lavora con Noi, on Work With Us on Edison website. But I would like to tell you that the Edison recruiting process for people with a maximum of 3 years experience is a little bit structured, so we have many steps. First of all, this CV screening, where we look for the alignment between our job request and the activities that the candidate has done in his life. And also we check the professional history, so the experience. After you pass this step, where we have an average of 100 CV or more, you arrive in the second step of the recruiting process, where me or another colleague send to the candidates 2 tests. One is a personality test, and the second one is a deductive logical thinking test. And here, the personality, there isn't a good or wrong. So it's just for us an indication for the interview. But for the logical one, you have to you have to arrive at a certain score, something like 55% of answer correct. And this step is very, 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 very difficult, because most of the candidates goes down in this part, and we arrive at something like from 5 to 7 candidates in this second part of the process. The last one, as Alex told you before, is the interview. We have 2 interviews. One is with HR, and we make by call or we make by Skype. And we have an informal conversation to understand your person, to understand your value, to understand your motivation to enter in Edison. And if you pass it, we have a technical one with the future manager. And in this step arrive from 2 to 4 candidates. So they have just a few people to meet, and it's very important to let's see your technical competences in this part.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
I was clear.
Yes, absolutely. If there is any question, please feel free once again to write in chat or to take the floor, unmuting yourself. So interrupt us. Alex, you were speaking before about looking for the potential. Of course, you need as well technical skills, but candidates should have as well some soft skills. So which are the soft skills that you look for when interviewing a candidate?
Okay, it's a difficult question because each position has specific requested soft skills, but we can say in general that we are looking for people that can work in a team, so team working, problem solving, and good communication skill. Maybe it could help if I say something about Fincantieri. We are a very big company with Italian and foreign colleagues, and so we need to create a contest of people that can work together, starting from different cultures and different languages. So it's not only a question of to speak English together, but it's we are able to work with people with different cultures. And so teamwork in communication, a good approach, these in Fincantieri are very, very important soft skills. So I think that is the same contest that you have in MIB with international classes. And so I think this could be a good experience to develop these kind of soft skills. At the same time, we are a company that work in projects, so we need to be able to face complex problems, and so problem solving. But at the same time, we need to work planning all the activities in order to be oriented to the results. And we can say the last probably soft skill that we can evaluate is the orientation to the client. The client is not only the external client, but of course the internal client. We are a complex company with several offices, several departments, and so we are a complex machine, and we are able, I think, to create a good collaboration with all these offices and departments.
Perfect, thank you. So good news for those who are considering to attend our MBA, because we work on these soft skills. So you will have the opportunity to practice problem solving, teamwork in a multicultural environment, as Alex was saying. And as well this year, and then we will have the opportunity as well to listen to Fulvio, who is a current MBA student who joined us, who will tell us how he learned on the job how to react and how to be flexible and changing the situation this year of the pandemic situation. And what about Edison? Which are the soft skills that Gastone in particular do you look for according to, of course, the position that you are evaluating?
Thanks. It's not an easy question, because in every job requirement, there are the distinctive skills that we look for. But for young, the first things that I want to say is that for young profile, soft skills are the characteristics that make the difference in choosing a candidate. So they are very important for us. How we can value them? First, we follow our managerial model, and therefore we look for people that have at least 3 characteristics. Great energy. So people that are dynamic, enthusiastic, with the eyes that shine. We look for people with innovative spirits. So you have to think that energy is a sector that is changing a lot. And so we need people who accept the challenge and who want to arrive to the result. And third, we look for people with great friendliness and team working, because you have to think that Edison is like a family. It's a company where people have a long career. And so it's essential to enter in contact with your colleague and with your workplace. And after that, as I said before, there are some distinctive skills that we look for a department or area. Like in the finance, we look for people that are very precise or punctually. In the innovative sector, we look for people that are creative. So it depends. But the three that I told to you are the basic that we look for.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As well, during one of our workshops that we organize here at MIB, we focus on personal branding. So on the idea that you have to create your own personal brand and of course communicate it to the job market. So LinkedIn is probably the right tool. So I would curious to understand and to know what Alex and Gastone think about LinkedIn. Alex, please.
LinkedIn, I know very well the LinkedIn people in Milan, and I speak with them often, but I have a very clear view of LinkedIn, and I also studied philosophy, and so I can use a philosopher's sentence, LinkedIn ergo sum. In the sense that if you want to be if you want to be a company, if you want to be a professional, young or senior, you must have a very good LinkedIn profile. It's a sort of it's mandatory to have a LinkedIn profile. Because LinkedIn is the place in which is the square in which candidates, professionals, people, young talents, and company meet. And so I think that you must have a good LinkedIn profile, but at the same time, the company. Fincantieri, Edison, I'm sure, and all the companies must have a very good LinkedIn page, a LinkedIn page that is able to communicate the values, the approach, the business, all the employer branding activities. LinkedIn is the place. After LinkedIn, we can use Facebook, we can use Instagram, we can use the website, etc., etc. But LinkedIn is the square in which companies and people, not candidates, but professionals, not only candidates, but professionals meet every day.
Thank you. Gastone, please.
I totally agree with Alex. And while he was talking, I was checking his LinkedIn profile. So we will get in contact after this talk.
Okay.
I have a problem to talk about LinkedIn in this period because last weeks we have been scammed by LinkedIn. So my profile and the profile of some of my colleagues are being scammed from USA. So at the moment, I receive many emails that tell to me that we are offering job in the USA, but I don't know how it's possible. And so it's a very hard question for me to talk about LinkedIn at the moment because I love it, and I completely agree with Alex that is the social network of work. So you have to be there, and you have to be with your identity and your image. When you don't know a company, where you don't know a people, LinkedIn is the tools where you can have information. So for me, LinkedIn is very important because I get information for all the topics that I wanna check, like by energy, like employer branding, like colleagues or candidates. For company, for Edison, LinkedIn is perfect for showing our initiative, for our employer branding, for publishing our offers. But for a candidate, is more important because LinkedIn allows them to getting information about company and about its people. And I suggest every time to write with people from my company to to understand how is the environment, how is life in Edison, because more you know the company, more you know the environment, more you have opportunity to enter, because if you have data are very important in this period, and if you have information, you have more chance to understand if you are aligned with the context or not. And so you have more chance to understand if you are in the right place or not. So I suggest to you to prepare your profile and let it check it with a friend or maybe with a colleagues at the master and MBA, and use it with to talk, and don't have fear to write with people that you don't know, because it's very important to get in contact with people that you don't know, because if you are polite, if you are educated, you can enter in a relationship and have the information that you need to make a proposal for a job. So it's I think it's a great tool at the moment to have more information. If we think at the past it was impossible to have this opportunity, so
yes,
use it.
Barbara, I'm sorry,
Yes?
there are a couple of questions, and the first one is very interesting. It's from Raffaele. Raffaele is asking about the soft skills, which are so crucial, I mean, in the recruitment process of the companies. And Raffaele asks, how can company evaluate the soft skill of candidates during the short time of an interview? I mean, which are the tricks you use to evaluate it, I mean, in just 1 hour, more or less, of an interview? Thank you for replying.
So who's going to take the challenge to answer to this question?
I can try, but Gastone, please. It's not so difficult, because the interview in person is a performance. It's an example, is a sort of paradigm in which the candidate is trying to, or better, is a situation in which the candidate is showing her or his soft skills. It's an example. If the candidate during the interview is able to show a good approach, a good communication skill, etc., I'm sure that with the line manager, with the director, with the CEO, with the CFO, the candidate will show these skills too. And so it's a sort of paradigm. So for this reason, the interview in person is so important, because it's a paradigm of a future situation in which the candidate, in this case the colleague, should try to face and cope.
Thank you, Alex. Gastone, please.
In my opinion, thanks Raffaele for the question, first of all. I would like to tell you that it's not so short the time, because for a recruiting process, we need something like 20-25 days. So we understand and we can have the correct period to discover a candidate, from the first call to the email that we send together. And so it's not a short time. We have personality tests that look that say many information for us. We have 2 interviews with 4 different people, so we can have a different point of view of the candidates. And after that, I would like to tell you the second thing is every candidate do the same. So every candidate has 1 hour to show their personality, and if you don't do it, you lose the game. You lose the opportunity to show yourself. So everyone has the same opportunity. You have to be like a soccer player. When you are in the field, you have to play the game. And if you don't play the game in that period that you have, we are sorry, but there are many people. So you have to be very ready to to do your match, to play your match, to play your cards. And so to show your personality and to show your enthusiasm, to show your competencies, that's the time. So that's why it's so important to be prepared for an interview. It's so important to be prepared for a recruiting process. It's so important to have information about the company. Because if you have the information and you know the style, you know the environment, you know the rules of the company, maybe you are more aligned, you are more confident to show yourself. And I hope to...
Why, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, we have another question, if it's possible.
Yeah.
From
Yes, I just wanted to, Carolina, just to add that this the soft skills is what we work on during the workshops, because of course we cannot give you the information about the technical skills required for each job position with each company. So during the workshops, we do try to simulate these soft skills interview, and practicing, as Gastone was saying, and getting prepared will help you to face the interviews that hopefully you will have to do after or during your MBA. Carolina, please.
Okay, there's a question from a guy from Bangladesh, and he asks, how do you manage the international application to job in your company? I mean, you are a multinational company, Fincantieri for sure, Edison, and I mean, if a guy from another continent, another country would like to apply for a position in Italy or in Europe, how do you manage it? You welcome application from Eastern Europe country, or you prefer to, I mean, to make people from let's say Asia or Japan, China work in your branch offices in this country, or you love the mix, you mix culture, people and experiences, and this is a very important and very interesting question, I guess.
I will ask maybe Alex to answer, since I think that in a few minutes he will have to say goodbye to us. So Alex, if you can please answer to the question, and then we can say goodbye to you.
Fincantieri side, we are open to evaluate candidates from the world, so Europe or not Europe, for the Italian job opportunities. Of course, I imagine that this candidate is not able to speak Italian. Of course, Italian is not mandatory. It's better, of course, because we are an Italian company, and the coffee machine, we can speak of the Italian soccer teams, of course, about Juventus. And so, but it's not mandatory to speak Italian. It's mandatory to speak English, and so we are open. I work with international colleagues from Europe, and not only Europe, from Argentina, from Romania, from France, etc., etc. So we are open, and we are happy to receive these CVs.
Thank you, Alex. So just 1 second to say thank you once again for being part of this MBA today, this afternoon with us. It was a pleasure to have you here and to share with you a few information and your experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So
Bye.
Gastone, if you can go back to the question about international candidatures.
Yeah, I have to be honest. Edison is a company that is focused on Italian market. So we have some society and some part of our division, energy service market, that works abroad. In particular, they work in Poland, Croatia, France, of course, and Egypt, Norwegia. And so for some department, we look for people that have an international background and speak at least 2 or 3 languages. But it depends by the position, and depends by what we are looking for. So there is not good or not good in the international experience. I have to be honest that in HR department, we are not looking for something like that, because we just work with most Italian part of the company. And so Italian is mandatory for us in the HR department. And so it's different. But if you work on gas midstream, or if you work on exploration and production department, international experience a plus.
Thank you very much. Carolina, I don't know if there are other questions, because time is...
It's time to start for the lesson, yeah.
So thank you, Gastone, for taking part to this conversation. It was a pleasure to have you as our guest. Thank you very much.
Good luck to everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much. So as I was saying, we are in time to leave the floor to Francesco Venier for the masterclass on digital innovation. So I will leave the floor directly to him.
Should I come there?
I think it's better because they can see you online as well.
Okay, good evening. Where's my presentation? Just a second that I share it with you. Okay, there we go. So, good evening again, at least in Italy, it's evening. And my name is Francesco Venier, as I've been introduced by Barbara, and I'm the professor of organization and digital transformation for the MIB, for the MBA in international business. So in this hour, I will try to highlight some issues that we approached during the course. Actually, we spent more or less the whole first day of lecturing on these topics, but I will try to be very synthetic and highlight the most relevant ones. So digital and data-driven transformation is the title of my presentation that aims to focus the organizational aspects of digital transformation. So we're not talking about the macroeconomic and social changes, but exactly what digital transformation means in the corporate, in the way we work together, and also in the way the meaning we give to work and to coordination and collaboration. And to do this, I start from my definition of digital transformation. That is a process, is dynamic process that is changing all the time, evolving, and of alignment of digital technology, skills, so what we know, what we are able to do, organization, rules, business models to create new value for stakeholders and maintain the sustainability of the organization in an ever-changing business environment. This definition has all the things you're going to talk about in this 40 minutes or something, and it focuses on different aspects. The most important probably is the last one, the sustainability of your corporation. It's not only environmental sustainability, it's also economic sustainability, it's also social sustainability. So it's a very faceted term that very often is mistaken just with environmental issues. Environmental issues are fundamental because they are part of the environment, also economic environment in which a corporation grows. But to guarantee this sustainability, we have to satisfy some needs, basically to solve problems to some bodies, some stakeholders that are willing to give us the resources we need to maintain and thrive with our organization. Resources are not only financial resources that are coming from basically the customers and the founders, but also labor resources, also institutional resources that are given us by unions, by workers, by the municipalities in which we have our premises. So it's a much more complex aspect. What is digital transformation then? Digital transformation is this ability to maintain alignment between the organization and the environment that can be split into three more focused elements, three more focused abilities, capabilities. Capability of understanding the environment, situational analysis, understanding what is going on, what kind of problems we have to solve or we can solve, and from this understanding, being able to do the second kind of activity, second skill, that is ability to design the organization, to design the rules of coordination, design the roles of the people in order to exploit the opportunities given us by the environment, observing the environment. Finally, the capability of implementation. Designing is not enough. Designing is relatively easy. Making things happen is much more difficult. So implementation is this, it's transforming an idea that comes out of the analysis of the situation into real facts, real processes, real products, real new business models, people understanding what is the vision, what is the objective, and working together to meet this objective, to reach this vision, the goals that are implied. And so this is the structure of my brief presentation. First, giving a highlight on what is going on under our eyes. And I entitled this situational analysis part, The End of Work, because I want to scare you. And this is the only thing that mass media, that main media, mainstream media talk about when they talk about digital, the danger of losing jobs. That's true. We will see to which extent technologies are changing the way we work and substituting part of our jobs. But what we often don't see and what most media don't talk about is the second part, that is the digital humanism, is the way in which technology is changing the organization or enables changes in the organization, and in the same way creates new opportunities and requires, not only creates, requires new jobs, new skills. These jobs are very different from the ones that are substituted by technology. Nevertheless, they are the opportunities of people, especially youngest people, but as we will see, and my point is that also digital immigrants have plenty of opportunities if they make the effort to unlearn and relearn new things, the skills, and also the meaning we give to work that stems out of the digital transformation. So finally, we will conclude with the implementation, the data-driven organization, the challenges that we have to face, and the things we have to bear in mind if we want to implement these opportunities, these changes in an effective way. So let's start from the scare, from the end of work. So situational analysis, the challenge of technologies and the challenge of business models and operating models that are ahead. And when we talk about work substitution, we immediately think about robots. Robots are the archetype of the machine that substitutes people. And I want to start with one robot that is very popular, also because it's getting more than 50 billion of investment from mostly from outside the industry from which these robots comes. And the robot is this, self-driving car. A very, innocent, I would say, funny car. This is the Google, Waymo is the Google company that focuses on self-driving vehicles. And they call it Panda car. And this is the first car that has been built from scratch without pedals, without steering wheel, just seats and the black button that you can push if you are in danger, okay? So they aim to sell this later this year. Actually, Waymo is already, if you go in Phoenix, Arizona, you can already get a ride on a self-driving car without driver. Since last January, they are allowed to give the service without drivers. So you can really have the thrill of getting a taxi without the driver, the taxi driver. In Phoenix, Arizona, you just download Waymo 1 app, if somebody listening is there, and have a ride. And this simple robot, as we will see in a second, has a very important impact in many, many jobs. First, why do we buy a car today? The answer is obvious, because the alternative, since we have to move, we have to be free to, take it whenever we need it, day, night, Sundays, doesn't matter. To have this level of service, the alternative to the owned car is a taxi, basically. If you're in the metropolitan area, you have also smart mobility solutions that could be okay, but anyway, they don't really give the total service that you have with a car. Taxi gives you the same service, but the cost is absolutely outrageous compared with the cost of the car. The cost of the car is basically a fixed cost with a minor marginal cost for the gas. You invest this money in this asset. This is the second most important investment in a family in Europe, at least, after the house. And then you use it with very little marginal cost. Actually, if you focus how the cost of ownership of a car is split, basically 95% of the time, the car sits there waiting, on average, waiting for somebody to drive it. So we have a huge fixed cost for this plant. Let's call it a plant. Let's imagine we are a company that is used only at 5% of this potential, of this capacity. So it's a big spoil of resources, waste of resources. It's very inefficient. Nevertheless, this is still less expensive than purchasing the service by a taxi, because you have to pay a worker. So to have the same level of service, you have to pay an amount of money that is higher than investing and waiting to use the car when you need it. What happens if we take away the taxi driver? Well, actually, you can have a company that gives you a service like a taxi without taxi drivers. So they only have to pay the mortgage for the investment, and they can saturate the investment much more than 5%. Let's say 60%. That's very likely. This means that what you pay for a ride with a self-driving vehicle, once they are mainstream, and of course all the development costs that today are still there, and also what I told you about Waymo in Phoenix is still research and development. They are doing the service to learn. They are still teaching the AI that is driving these robots, is teaching to all the possible different cases in which they have to take decisions. So I think 2020 is very, very optimistic. I think that we won't see something like this before 2025, because also all the legal aspects, all the technical aspects, also the moral aspect, the ethical issues that have to be solved with this. Also for the software, the decisions they take in case of extreme situations are not so clear and easygoing. Anyway, we will at the end find a solution, also because this robot is 90% less dangerous than a human-driven car. 90% of every year car accidents are caused by human mistakes, human errors, human drunk people, or just human that do the wrong thing. So 90% means more than 1 million people dead every year. So an absurd number, with a social cost that is huge, and healthcare cost that is huge, that is borne by a technology that is still involving humans in driving. If you get the robots, you slash that by 90%, huge social advantage, huge economic advantage, because you pay only the mortgage. So everybody's betting on this robot. That's why they invest more than 50 billions, because they think this is going to disrupt totally personal mobility, urban mobility, maybe also medium range mobility. And guess what? The ones that invest more than 75%, 3/4 of the investments are coming from high-tech companies like Google, Apple, and only 15% is coming from the automotive incumbents. What does this simple robot change in we're talking about labor, about work, in the jobs environment? Well, of course, it's obvious that taxi drivers will somehow disappear. But if we have self-driving vehicles, also policemen disappear. If self-driving vehicles will be a service, will not be anymore a product that is bought by business to consumer, but a product that is bought by large service providers. So it is the servitization of the automotive industry. This means that there will be very little customers still buying a car for their own, probably the wealthy ones that don't want to share it and they have the money to afford their own Mercedes or Porsche or whatever. But most of us, I don't care at all about owning a car. If I had a service like this, for sure I would use it and send it to pick the kids at school and pick my shopping bags at the grocery, whatever, without losing time. So definitely the perspectives are that servitization will go on, business to consumer will transform into business to business industry. Probably the ones who will run the fleets, like Google, for example, will be bigger than the producers of the cars. So the margins for the automotive industry will shrink. The level of side businesses, all the retail for cars, all the retail maintenance will go away, will be incorporated by the big service providers. And this means a lot of jobs that will have to change, will disappear, and these people will have to find new ways to make a living. Much earlier than self-driving cars, we will see self-driving trucks on the highways. They are already there. They are already legal since 2015 in Nevada. In the States, that are the most open to this kind of innovation, the Senate is discussing whether to allow this kind of self-driving vehicles all over the highways. Actually, they're not totally self-driving. They have a system that is called platooning. So they still have to have a truck driver in the first truck, but then they can have a kind of train, 10, 20 trucks that are robots, self-driving, that follow the first one. Technology is there. It's much easier to drive in the highways than to drive in real normal traffic conditions. It's easier to drive in Phoenix suburbs than in Trieste or in Rome or in any European or Asian historical city that was born before machines, cars were invented. So I think that before we see self-driving vehicles in all the towns, even more than 5 years. But trucks on the highways, they're already there. If you buy a truck today, I mean a big lorry, it comes already with all the technology for platooning. It's just a matter of law, deciding whether or not to allow it. Why they're not allowing it everywhere? Consider that every truck saves $200,000 per year to the company that owns the truck, because they don't have to pay the salaries of 3 or 4 truck drivers. So big price, big benefits for the market, because the price of the goods that are transported will drop. But why? What is refraining governments to accept this technology, at least on the highways, at least on trucks? Since it is already there, it works, is proven by 5 years of experience in Nevada and other states in the United States. Simply, jobs. They calculated that only in the US, 3 million people would lose their job, 1 million truck drivers, and 2 million of side businesses, hotels, restaurants, all the people that lives giving services to the truck drivers. So one single robot is disrupting many industries, servitizing automotive, shrinking margins from one side, increasing margin on the other side, changing the value of real estate. If you spend 50,000 euros for your parking lot behind your house, now in a few years it will lose its value, right? Probably at 100%. And yes, is there a question? No. Okay. Insurance companies, car insurance company is basically 50% of the revenues of P&C, of the damage insurances. They will disappear because these, or almost, they will change radically because these products will be insured probably by the producer itself. Google is insuring his cars on his own because they have the data, they know the real risk, they know where it is, they know how to allocate the capital to cover these risks better than an insurance that doesn't have direct access to the data. So many changes. One single robot will disrupt many industries, change business models, change the way of working. And robots are not only on the roads. Robots are this is a small robot sold by a French company, cost around 20,000 euros, and is basically a tool to work to substitute part of the shopping clerks in point of sales. You can get payment, it can show you menus or list of items, and you can interact with this. And it works. It's already deployed in Pizza Hut in some Asian countries. And you can see also in hotels around Europe, also in Italy, very easily. Another one, in Dubai, they are deploying Robocops, and they forecast in 10 years to substitute 25% of Dubai police. It speaks 6 languages, gives directions, and it calls the real police when something really complex to be handled is appearing under its cameras. In the factories, we have robots, yes. Actually, robots have been first entering in the factories, but today also in the factories, robots are changing. Together with the old dumb robots that are machines that can be programmed to do anything, but once they are programmed, they keep on doing the same thing without being able to adjust. We have cobots today, collaborative robots, so workers that work together with robots without cages, robots that are able to recognize pieces, tools, and pick them, do simple things. Take the piece and put it into the box. They substitute another 25–30% of the unskilled workforce. Unskilled workforce is getting more and more easily substituted by smart machines like this. And they can be programmed by workers. The worker picks this one, this is named Baxter, is the first one. Now all the major robot producers are producing machines like this. It picks it from its end and it learns, you have to pick this and put it there, like a baby, okay? And is able to have the basic common sense to understand, to generalize and recognize a piece if it is up, down, in an area instead of exactly in the same place. Totally different from the old robots we are used to see. Robots are not only changing the way we work in the factories, not just blue collars are under risk. RPA, robot process automation, is the same thing of cobots, only it is software robots that use programs as if they were humans. So they basically can interact with different software, different applications, different systems, and do simple things like Baxter, like a cobot. They are trained by the workforce. They can be trained, the easiest at least, can be trained by the workforce. And they can cut and paste data. They can control if the bank account is exactly the same that we have been inputting in our accounting system. Easy things that substitute, again, unskilled workers in basic tasks. Again, several percentage points of white collars are just doing this, and especially in developing countries, they are under risk of being substituted by AI. AI that is now entering into the RPA, so cognitive RPA, is the application of AI to these simple RPA, robotic process automation tools, in order to give them more skills. So being able to read an email, understand if this email, for example, you write an email to info@chrysler.com, okay? This can be anything, a complaint about your car, a request of intervention, a request for an offer, or anything. So the cognitive RPA is able to understand what you're looking for and route your mail to the appropriate office without intervention of humans. So it's just something more than just a standard cut and paste thing from different tables. That was what RPAs were basically doing in the past. Now they're starting to read emails, to respond to people, adding the ability of vocal synthesis. They are able to answer to people, even by phone, and they are able to translate. So they take away jobs also for more skilled people. They are able to help recruiters to analyze profiles of people and to shortlist long application lists, shortlist them for the recruiters. They are able to help doctors to recognize pathologies. Maybe the most powerful one is Watson for oncology. Watson is the IBM name of the AI tools they have. And Watson for oncology is better than a generalist oncologist in diagnosing cancers. It's not as good as the specialist for that cancer. But the name of Watson for oncology in the past was second opinion. That to me was much more to the point. It's not working on its own. It's working together with an oncologist. So the generic oncologist with Watson makes much less mistakes than the specialist. So Watson transforms, AI transforms a generic oncologist into a super expert oncologist. When Watson works with the experts, it basically doesn't fail. 0 mistakes. Blackstone Discovery, same thing, not in recognizing cancer, but in recognizing patterns into a legal situation, into a legal trial, and find the precedents. Find which other trials in the history have been dealing with similar situation and giving to the attorneys the highlights on these previous accidents and previous events. Especially in common law system, so the ones who are based a lot on the previous decisions of the courts in making positive law, this is fundamental. And Blackstone Discovery is substituting thousands and thousands of junior attorneys that in the past were used in the attorney companies, in the legal companies, just to do this, to do research in the archives and find the precedents. AI is also working in engineering companies, making the calculation and designing things. So AI also writing novels. AI GPT-3 is in the last week has been in the highlights on all major social medias and among the community of AI developers, because they say that GPT-3 is so good in creating text that is able to write books that is difficult to recognize from a human written book. So even, I mean, journalists, all the people that works by writing will be partially substituted by machines. It's already happening. MSN announced last month that they will replace all the journalists that were working in selecting news to make them appear in the news section with AI. Jill Watson, bye-bye professors. My job is not safe, for sure. It's definitely one of the most impacted by these technologies. So we have cases, Jill Watson is a famous case in which IBM Watson has been used by this professor to do the tutor for students. And most students didn't realize it was a software. It was a tutor, email tutoring in Georgia Tech, large university in Georgia. And many students didn't realize they were talking with AI, and they tried to date Jill for dinner. So it was amazing. And this is just the beginning. I mean, we have the access to this kind of technology, access to, for example, Google TPUs through TensorFlow. It's very easy and very low cost, so everybody can access this. So what is the message of all this discussion? We are lagging behind. The root of our problem is not that we are in a great recession, great stagnation, but rather that we are in the early times of a great restructuring. Our technologies are racing ahead, but our skills and organization are lagging behind. These two guys have been writing probably the most influential book on this topic in the last years. They are two professors of MIT in Boston, and their analysis is very interesting. So I advise you to look for them in Amazon and buy their books. So what is this great restructuring? What we call digital transformation is a new competitive condition characterized by the need for continuous transformation of the business models of our companies, the way we produce value for our shareholders and stakeholders. It's not just a matter of learning how to work in a new way. It's a matter of learning and competing in how to innovate the kind of services and products you give to your stakeholder, to your market. And so this brings us to the second point, is digital humanism. What is the place left to humans here? Well, this is, don't be scared, but this is a plastic portrait of the level of digitalization of different industries in the United States. It was 4 or 5 years ago, but nevertheless, it's the interesting of this, it's a McKinsey research. The interesting part of this, here you see all the different industries. So some are very, are rated, still not digital. Some are leading the digitalization path, ICT, media, professional services. The interesting part here is that they measure the level of digitalization by splitting it into 10 categories. The first two are assets, basically how much companies in the industry invest in purchasing hardware and software. The second is usage, how much this investment in assets is transformed into changes and application of these assets to real processes, the existing processes. And the third is the last three, and is the labor dimension, how much people is getting the competences from technology. And they discovered with this research that the biggest impact in productivity doesn't come from investment or from the usage into the existing processes, but comes from this single dimension, digital deepening, they call it. More often it is called digital mindset. The level in which people is able to understand technology and understand the opportunities and the way in which technologies could innovate the processes. So not only use the technology by the manual on the existing processes, but seeing, I'm using Teams for working with my team. Why I don't use it also to negotiate with the customer? Why? So extending the use of technology to other aspects and creating new ways of creating value. So the basic approach to innovating also the business models. The most important part is this, to produce the beneficial effects of technology on the productivity. And guess what? The digital mindset, this skill, is already inside the companies. There is already what these professors call digital workforce. This is an article that appeared in the most important scientific journal on management, the Academy of Management Journal, 4 years ago. They said, hey guys, you have to study this, because this is happening. We already have a lot of people with the skills that could improve the level of productivity, the level of innovation of the organization, but we are not using them because organizations are still blocked into the old hierarchic, top-down, standardized, bureaucratic mindset. So digital workforce are the digital skills developed by digital natives and digital immigrants, massively present in the company. I think that since 2016, basically, this group have overtaken, is more numerous than the ones who are out of the digital mindset. So these people is massively present. The workplace organization should be redesigned to ensure effective communication and collaboration. We are only beginning to understand the implication of how people approach work, and work could be redesigned at the moment. What is digital mindset? Sense making on your scenario, ability to see what the technology can do. Identification of sources of information, finding the information that you need to assess an idea if it is feasible. Rapid problem solving using technology, finding turnarounds and solutions to solve the problems in making this vision more realistic. Openness to risk and experimentation, learn by gaming. Gaming is a very important activity that teaches you basic skills that today, resilience, for example, today are very important in companies. When you have to experiment, when you have to fail fast and retry in another way to reach your objective, it's very different from the old mentality in which every failure was a disaster and was you were blamed, you were penalized. Today is totally different. So ability to take risks, to experiment, to fail, to learn from failing, ability to collaborate virtually, and COVID gave us a boost on this because we had to in the last months. Multitasking capability, habit to continuous learning. If you don't know something, you don't only look for the sources of information, but you also look for courses, for training. There is a lot of free stuff over there. If you need to learn Python, if you need to learn structured competences, you can easily have access to the best in class from Stanford professor, MIT professor that teach you Python, that teach you the hard skills of digitalization, not only, also of accounting, of finance. So these people is able to exploit new tools, workforce on demand platforms, tools that enable dimensional flexibility of organization, ability to access workforce in the market without hiring them, but paying by project, and eventually internalize them if you need to make that project stable in the company, or when you finish the project, they are just working somewhere else. So freelance workers have platforms to access organization. Organizations that are able to use platforms are able to exploit these people that wants very often to be free, to be a freelancer. The second set of tools, workforce management tools, are the ones to change the ways we work together in the company. Some examples, Upwork maybe is the biggest workforce on demand platforms. It matches workers with companies, also measuring soft aspects, not only the hard competencies, but also the values of people, the work environment that workers, the freelancer need to look for in order to reach the best possible matching. The workforce management tools instead are the ones that we've been knowing very well in the last months. So Yammer tool, Workplace Lex, Zoom, social communication, but also some more structured tools. Confluence, Asana, Mural is a tool for brainstorming. There are hundreds of these. These are just the most famous. Some are used for human capital management. All these digital tools are changing the way we work, are changing the organization. They have a potential, actually. They are not changing anything. It took COVID to let people understand the power of Teams. Teams is there since at least 5 years, 6 years. But who used that? Nobody, only the IT guys, okay? And when you say, okay, we could use Teams, come on, you were laughed at. Now everybody, Teams, yes, why do we have to make this meeting? Let's do it with Teams. We don't have to move the car. This will remain, not at the extent we have today, we use today, but organizations are going to change fast. So, summarize. Digital transformation is not only substitution, transactional technologies that create automation and efficiency by reducing the number of workers, but it's mainly, the most important, the human side, social technologies, all the teams, all the ones we have seen, that increase the value of the human capital, that increase the ability to innovate, to create new business model, to create outsourcing, to create open innovation, and increase the performance of the corporation. So this changes the organization from the hierarchy to a more organic form, more flexible, agile form, in which there is not hierarchy, but leadership is a servant leadership, in which teams are not of specialists, but are self-contained teams that are responsible end-to-end of their tasks. They are self-organized. They are people in the teams work maybe in more than one team, with different roles. You can be a team leader in one team and be a subject expert in another team. So a totally different, much more fluid organization. Large organizations are focusing and trying to make this happen. Small organizations are already there. Conclusion, entrepreneurial organization. We have been talking about this so far. Basically, we have been talking about data-driven business. All the value that we have seen from robots, from AI, from all the tools we have seen is coming from the data they produce. This data gives us the power to take decisions that are much better, to highlight, to have insights that we couldn't have before. Data are coming not only like in the past from enterprise information, but smart connected products and the external sources of information like the digital footprints we leave in our social media, especially, can be used to create, to create a data lake that can be used with the analytics, with AI, basically, not only to describe and diagnose, but also to predict and prescribe things that the company could do to improve the relation between business, customer, partner. So this deeper insight are the output we look for from AI. Deeper insight that help us to see things that we cannot see just looking at the raw data. The basic insight are the ones that management has. Okay, we have these numbers in this region. Okay, what can it mean? Analytics today can help us to really be much more focused and much more effective in taking decisions. The essence of the data-driven organization, though, is the management determination to compete on analytics, not only in administrative sense, improving efficiency, not only in the red sense, not only to reduce the number of workers in order to be less expensive in doing the old things, but to invent the new things, to use analytics on an industrial scale by creating new products, new services for greater value based on data. Inventing this is producing. I think Gartner Group estimated that by the end of this year, AI will have canceled 1.8 million jobs only in the US, but it will have created 2.3 million jobs because you need to train these machines. You need, of course, to design these machines. You need to train people to use these machines. You need to help the boards of the companies to make sense of the data, to understand the value in the data, and transform the way they take decisions and they design the strategy given to these machines. So all these problems are opportunities. Problems are opportunities. You have to learn how to solve them. And that's the new jobs. And I'm sure we are not missing problems. So problems to be solved are opportunities that can become a business in the future. Because they are problems. Somebody's willing to pay to solve the problem. And so the 5 challenges of data-driven organization. Leadership, we still need entrepreneurs. Data-driven doesn't mean that the AI gives you the solution. AI gives you hints, second opinion, but you are the physician, you are the owner of the company, you are the CEO, you are the head of your business unit, and you need leadership, you need vision. You need to understand technology to have the right vision. You need to understand what technology can do for your business. And then you have to be able to communicate and to energize the people to follow you. You need talent management, data science, big investments. MBA is very much involved now in developing data science programs for large corporations. Data science is not just statistics. It's not even just IT. It's not just AI. It's the mix of mathematics, AI, technology, ICT, business skills, putting together business mentality with scientific mentality, with IT mentality is very tough. This is, again, another reason why we use teams more than single individuals. Technology, choosing technology, data platform. My personal opinion, given the examples I've seen in the field, is that open source is better than closed solutions. But if you are totally out of this, you need at the beginning probably to leverage some service provider, SAP or SAS. Okay, there are many. But at the end of the day, if you really get the maturity, you want to go on your own. Not only for cost, but for flexibility, for speed of experimentation. And these things require continued experimentation. So you have to be low cost because you have to fail without breaking the bank. Decision-making, the 2 most difficult things. Decision-making means starting to put the information where the competence is and where the problem is. Data, digital allows us to do this. You don't need any more hierarchy. You don't need some boss, wherever he is, to take the solutions to think about the solution for somebody that is totally out of his radar. You can put the information in the right place, the competent people in the right place, and give the solution to the customer very easily today. Very difficult to be put in practice because, of course, hierarchy says, oh, what's my role then? Okay, so it's very difficult. And finally, corporate culture, digital mindset, data mindset means starting a meeting, not asking what we think about this problem, but asking what we know about this problem, starting from objective analysis. We have data, we have to use it. Then accepting that the solution of the problem can come not from the highest paid person in the team, not from the boss. It can come also from the last one that is being hired 2 weeks ago and that has a fresh idea and fresh perspective on the problem and gives you the solution. Another big cultural, wall to break. So this is the problem. We have people at the top of the organization that is aware of the need of the change. We have people in the organization at the bottom with the skills, and when we have the organization that is frozen. To unfreeze this, we need to remember these simple words of Muhammad Yunus, he's a Nobel Prize winner. We are all entrepreneurs. You cannot do this top down. You cannot do this by order, by hierarchy. You have to take responsibility. All human beings are entrepreneurs. When we were in the case, we were all self-employed, finding our food, feeding ourselves. That's where human history began. As civilization came, we suppressed it. We became labor because they stamped us, you are labor. We forgot that we are all entrepreneurs. And this is important because this means exactly a change of mentality. Going out of the pack. The entrepreneurial approach to work is going out of your comfort zone, going out of the rules, taking the risk of saying, I have this idea, and I'm sure I want to sell it to you. My boss, my corporate, entrepreneurial mindset inside the organization. Actually, inside or outside is becoming less and less relevant, given that the distance between people is the same. The customer, the colleague, the boss, the competitor, they are all at one-click distance. It's not anymore like it was in the past. So we can collaborate, share ideas, and we can see things in new ways and be brave enough to find somebody that is willing to invest resources in this idea. So this is the essence of entrepreneurship. Seeing an opportunity and trying to catch this opportunity beyond our actual resources, our actual role. So taking this risk, just let you go. One day, you start flying. So give yourself the permission. Excellence is a form of deviance. This is the real result that we are looking for. Not a technological problem, a mindset problem. Switching from the short-termism of profit to the long-termism of the purpose of your organization. Profit remains fundamental. I'm not saying it's not relevant. It's not the profit comes if the organization is able to see its mission is perfect. Everybody is aiming in the same direction and is empowering, not controlling, is empowered to do what he or she can to reach that objective. Not through a hierarchy, but through networking, through teams, not from planning top down, but by experimenting the solutions, because we are doing things that nobody did before. So experience is important to understand humans, but it's not everything, especially today in which many tools exist that require understanding, and in the past nobody saw them. Finally, from privacy, from playing the game of information asymmetry, divide et impera, to transparency, sharing information with your team for the sake of the team. Okay, I think that's enough. Just one final close. The literate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And unlearning is the most difficult thing. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you. I don't know if from on the audience online there is somebody who wants ask some questions. Otherwise, we will thank to Francesco Venier for being here with us and sharing this interesting presentation. I think that now it's time to share the experience of our former student and current student.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Francesco.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So I will leave the floor here at school to Fulvio, who is a current MBA 30 participant, and as well online, I think that Gonzalo has joined. So if you can just... Yes, good.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, welcome, Gonzalo. So Fulvio, please come here and just open conversation. Tell us something about your experience, Gonzalo, and how your experience, Fulvio, which is very particular, was. So I will leave the floor to you and open questions, please.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to start, Gonzalo, or I will start.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I will take the lead, Fulvio. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Gonzalo Moreno Micheli. I'm from Argentina, and I was part of MBA 28. Currently, I'm living in Italy, and let's say as soon as the MBA finished, I took a position in Gruppo Danieli here in Italy as a commercial manager. And currently I'm developing myself in a position as both commercial manager and strategic marketing manager. Let me see, I don't know, well, should there be any questions, please let me know, even if you feel free to interrupt me, go ahead. My experience as such at MIB, Trieste School of Management, let's say it was a very enriching experience, not only from the technical side, but mostly from the personal side. There is, I always, let's say, make reference to an year-long subject, which is leadership dynamics. Let's say by far, to me, it is the most enriching subject because let's say it's a journey. It's a 1 year long journey that allows you to better develop and better understand yourself and learn and understand others. Let's say, which proves to be, let's say, super important. It proves to be of paramount importance, both, let's say, in life and in personal life and in the office, let's say. Fulvio, do you want to share your experience?
Okay, yes, for sure. My experience, I am, of course, Fulvio. I'm current candidate in MBA 30, and the experience is a little different, of course, for the coronavirus situation, but I totally agree with Gonzalo that leadership dynamic is one of the most important part in our journey, especially because you can discover new things about the other people, how the other people interpret the reality that could be really different from your point of view. You don't think this at the beginning. You think that the reality is one and everybody more or less interpret it in the same way. But during your improvement, because it's a journey that improves a lot your personality and your personal attitude, you discover that the reality can be interpreted in a very different way from each one of us. And of course, in my opinion, this year we experiment something new because especially in the month of May, that we start work really hard for the end of our master, and we are of course at home. All in remote was really complicated, but give us the opportunity to better interact and understand the power that the teamwork, the group, and the collaboration with our colleagues give us in order to complete our work, because it was a busy period, a really busy period. I think everybody agree. And
that it was.
yes, absolutely. But we are able to complete thanks to a lot with the leadership dynamics tips that team, that is the teacher, and Valeria, the other teacher, give us during all the years, of course.
Yes.
After this, I think is important, if I can add this stuff, that the technical part during the whole the year is tough. In some moment is really hard. If you have not the background of economics, you are a little scary about it. But the group, especially, and of course the teacher, is really available to help you, and you can feel free to fail here. There is no blame on you if you are not able to understand or if you are not able to do something, but you are here to learn. And so is the right place to do this without any fear. In my opinion, you can try without any problem about your experience.
Yes, let me add something, Fulvio, to what you have just said. I fully agree with you. You spoke about helping each other, and I mean I couldn't agree more with that, because let's say what happens during this this year-long experience is that at first, let's say, the people who are strangers to you, who, let's say, start just being your classmates, they become later on friends and later on family. It's something, I mean, you take the chance to join the MBA, you will find yourself with 20, 25, 30 new members of your family, because it really, let's say, it really fosters that. It fosters cooperation between you and the whole class. Let's say all the, not only the staff, but also the professors are always available to, let's say, to provide a helping hand, to enlighten you in some way. So let's say it's, at least personally, again, this is always speaking from my experience, it's way more than just, let's say, an year-long MBA course. You will not only learn about business. That's my point.
Yes, I totally agree that the personal part you improve really much during the year, and the technical, of course, the same, for sure. I don't know if someone...
Well, we want to ask a question to Gonzalo. We know that you are from Argentina. Can you please tell us, how do you integrate in Italy, not only in your work, but also after work? For example, where are you now?
Okay, well, currently I'm living in Udine, which is 1 hour away from Trieste. So, well, I still have a lot of friends and, let's say, new family members in Trieste. Let's say, integrating in the
culturally,
the
for example, you are from
culture,
Argentina.
I would say yes. Being Argentinian, I would say that people in Italy are pretty similar to us to a certain extent. Of course, there are certain differences, but Trieste in particular, it's a pretty, I would say, international city in a way. So I mean, it is used to receiving people from different places of the world, and let's say along this time in Italy, in Trieste in particular, you learn some maybe some implicit rules. I mean, the best way to interact with locals. But again, it's really fun to, let's say, to integrate yourself within the Italian society, as per my opinion. So much so that I, let's say, after the MBA, and well, having had the chance of having several interviews and job offers also, I decided to stay here.
Okay, thank you, Gonzalo. I have a question from Carmen, and I guess it's better you answer to her. Would it be possible to have a job during the MBA class or not? I mean, it's a full-time experience, so it would be a little bit difficult, isn't it?
Yes, let's say the course the full-time
Gonzalo, we have some problems with the connection.
Gonzalo,
in such a way
sorry, can you repeat, please? Gonzalo?
Concern, let's say that your main occupation. Can you? Oh, yes. Can you hear me now?
Not very good.
Okay.
No.
Maybe I can answer.
Yeah, maybe we can switch. We can switch. Yeah.
Okay. For the MBA is really tough work because it's a full-time program, so it's required a lot of time, both from the classes and the study, because you need to work a lot. It's hard, really, but it's possible. Of course, after the end of the lesson in this year, for example, there are some of my colleagues that have already started work, and so they complete the master, like the thesis and the last project that we have in the work groups, and at the same time they work, but is only an option in this last part. Probably after the ending of the lesson, you can work and complete the master. During the year, you can do it, but is quite impossible to survive, probably.
Okay, I guess it's very difficult as an option, almost impossible during the first time of the first part of the course.
Yes,
because
there are a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can
okay.
at the moment. We can. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry that the line was down before. I was able to listen to Fulvio, and I agree with him. Let's say I was explaining before that the program is designed to get let's say the most out of it, and it comes with I would say several hours in class, and then studying with the study group you will have, and let's say also studying a little bit on your own. So it's I would say it's pretty tough to have a job while taking the MBA.
Okay, thank you, Gonzalo.
If I may just add something, since we're speaking about jobs. No, just to clarify that when Fulvio and Gonzalo were speaking, that the possibility to work starts once the class period ends, which means for the MBAs, end of June. So basically, this is when companies are allowed to offer positions to our students, even though most of the opportunities may come during September, starting from September.
Right.
And as well, when we consider one of the numbers, one of the important figures that we collect for our MBA, which is the percentage of placement, we do collect this information 6 months after the graduation, which means that we consider at least 6 months starting from when you have your MBA degree as a good time to understand if the MBA has a value on the job market. And we are proud, as Victoria was explaining before, to say that more than 90% of our students after 6 months are working. So maybe Fulvio can as well give an information about the fact that he will be starting in September, so he can enjoy at least more or less 1 month vacation probably, and then to go back to the job market and to the real life of the work environment. Yes. Sorry for interrupting.
Barbara, sorry, there is a question, and I guess you or Victoria can answer, because yes, we heard speaking about the online part during the COVID emergency, and they are asking, so which are the plans for the beginning of the next edition? The course will start, I mean, in the class, but there are also different options this year, because this year will be a very, very particular year.
Yes, I think that Victoria is the right person to answer this question, so I will leave the floor to her.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. So yes, it is still an uncertain situation, as you all know. Fortunately, now in Italy, we are doing better, and we could reopen our school to our participants, and many activities are now taking place here, respecting, of course, all the safety reasons that we have to follow. But we are managing, let's say we are managing diverse scenarios. So the first one, which is the ideal one, is that all of our new participants will be able to start the lectures here in our premises, attending the face-to-face lessons. But we are also evaluating the possibility to do an hybrid class. So some of our participants here and some of our participants following the lectures on streaming, so direct and also participating to the lectures. The worst scenario, we hope it will not happen, may be that we need to start all online to then pass to face-to-face lectures in a second moment, in case there is some new events that complicate the situation. So yes, we have the technology, and we can adapt according to which will be the situation in September. The master will start on September 30th, that's for sure. We will define near the date of the beginning of the master, which will be the formula, all here, all half and half, or in the worst scenario, start online to then pass to face-to-face. I hope I answered the question.
Victoria, I would like to share a video where we can see how MIB has adapted in this particular situation.
Yes, thank you. That would be very useful. So yes, as Ornella was saying, this is a video that illustrates more or less how we adapted our structure, our premises, in order to follow all the rules, in order to keep safe, which is the main objective for all of us. I don't know if we have any more questions. Please feel free to ask. maybe take the possibility that Gonzalo and Fulvio are still here with us. It may be something useful to get the point of view of our participants. No further questions for the moment.
No further questions from the audience.
Okay.
Okay,
to that extent, let me, sorry to interrupt,
please,
Vicky.
Please, Gonzalo.
I would just like to add, I would like to ask you or Ornella, I mean the whole group, to provide my email to all the participants here today, should they have any question after this session, or maybe, I don't know, something they didn't want to ask in plenum, let's say, to everyone. Please feel free to contact me. They will provide you with my personal email in case you have any doubt.
Yes, the same for me, because of course we don't say this, but the sharing and the network is two of the value of the MBA and the MIB. So feel free to contact us if you need information, question, or whatever. So there is no problem about it at all.
Okay, so I take the opportunity to thank especially Gonzalo and Fulvio for being here, and the staff of the school and the MBA staff for organizing this open day. I hope it has been useful for all of you to get more information about our school and our master. If you have any further questions, please do not doubt to write to us, to contact us. We will be pleased to answer to any question you may have. So you can write to us by mail, and we can schedule a meeting by Skype or answer you directly by mail. Thank you very much for participating to this event, and hope to see you very soon here in Trieste. Bye-bye, thank you.